Okay, so let's go back to our notes. Got that. Okay, so here is that file I just showed you. The different types of data you can send or you can request. Okay, or you can also read is the XML file. Will look something like this. If you remember XML file, you have the syntax looks very similar to HTML. It's just that it's all lowercase, right? All the tags are all lowercase, and you can write any tags you want. It's all customizable, which is really cool about XML. And so let's just say this is the file called test.xml, and then in your index, your HTML file, you make this button request, kind of like before, and then you and then this function here pass this file. This is the file you want to request, you want to read from. Okay, and then inside your JavaScript, the document is going to be the response XML.
Why is it capitalized there? Well, because of the response?
You mean here?
Or what I mean behind the response? Yeah.
Yeah. This is a property of the HTTP request. So one of those built-in functions. And then you get another. So now this object here has the data, which is this XML file. It has this inside that document. And then this is just a way of saying you can read that document using a tag name. The name of root, for example, because we call it root. Because XML you can call it whatever you want. You create something you want to call, right? And then from the root you can get the items from here. So it has only one item. So the item 0. You read that, and then you no, sorry. The item here is this child, right? This one has only one item because it's a tag name. The tag can be, you could have many, right? I could have something like that. I could have another one here, maybe that something like that, right? So how does it know? Right, back to the XML. The by tag name rule is it's a collection of data. So I think you can do that, or you can probably do like that. Okay, either way, you get the first element. So this is a built-in function. You read the first root tag, and then now show me the first child. This is the first child, and then the data itself is the I am a test. So it will print that out to the alert box. So just to show that you can read XML file, it's just that you have to grab the tag name, because you have nested tag in here. You could have something like, you know, story, and then you have to end that with a story, right? So it's like HTML, exactly the same. Something like that. If you want to go directly to the story, you can just say, find me the story tag.
Well, don't you have to change your item because, or if you go to root, well, so you change your tag name. So.
Yeah, so you can change
the
tag
name. If you
name.
left it at root, the items are set at 0, wouldn't that bring back story?
So root will be this root here at the first item, which is the first root. Because I could have two roots, right? I could have something like that, and I return all the roots. So I'm just interested in the first root here. That's item 0. This would be the second root, item 1. Okay. So if I want to grab this one instead, then I'll put item 1, the second index. Okay. and then the root node, that first child. If you look at this, it has one child. I could have another story here. That's the second text. The first child, second child, and so on. I just want the first child, and I want its data.
But isn't story the child of the root?
Yeah, the story is the child of the root, and the story's data is contained inside here. If you want this one instead, then there'll be the second child, and then and so on. Or child, like would be like children of one dot data, right? Yeah. Okay, so XML file, you can read that. JSON is the more popular one. JSON is very powerful because it's very portable. All it is just basically a text, a string of text. That's all. It will have this key value pair, just like your object. If you compare these two here, this is JSON, this is JavaScript object. So just make sure you can distinguish between the two. Okay, I put the key differences between here and here in yellow. The key here, that's this key here. JSON, you have to put double quotes around it, or if you want to use single quotes, that's okay too. But it had to be quoted. And JavaScript object, you don't have to. Okay, it's optional. You can if you want to. You don't have to. It's okay. If you remember, we did without pet, right? We didn't put that in there, right? Like, what did we? I think I'm gonna have to delete or something. See right here. When we did this, notice that when I put age and bread and gender, I didn't have to wrap it with the double quotes. I could do that and it would still be fine. Okay? But once you put all in like that, then really it's just like a JSON data. So that's the major difference between the two. JSON is always, everything is string, even the values. Okay, it cannot be a function or any other data in here. But an object in JavaScript you can have without the quote here, you can have here as another object, another function here in here.
Even numbers would have to have quotes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It'll be a string. If you don't have it, I think it will convert it maybe automatically, but implicitly. But usually everything should be in string. Okay. The reason is because when you pass data from the server to your JavaScript file, it comes in as a string. Everything is in string. And so when it comes in that format, you have to convert it to the object type, so you can access directly in JavaScript. And then when you send the data from your server to another server, you have to convert your object back to string. Okay? So how you convert it is kind of like this. So here is the one from the book. Okay, the movie. This is JSON data, JSON object file, and then it has a string of data. So you can see this all quoted. So when you want to convert your JSON string to an object, so you can reference it in your script, you have to use the parse function. So JSON, it's a two built-in functions you can use. JSON.parse, and then you put the JSON data here. It will convert to an object. And if you want to go the other way around, then you say JSON.stringify, and you put that data here. It will convert that to a string. So you put all the double quotes around every element in your object. Okay, and if you would do the other way, then it will remove all the double quotes around your keys, and whatever it's should be different. If it's not a string, it will convert back to a non-string. So I put here, if you are receiving data from a server, if you are the receiver, then just know that all the data comes in as a string. So when you do that, then you have to convert to a object type so you can use it in JavaScript. And let's just say if you're coming from the other way around, if you want to send the data to a server instead, then you need to convert your data, because it could be in object format. Okay, convert it to JSON data, which is string. So you stringify it. And then now this object is all string, and then you can send that over, and then the receiver will receive this, right? So the cycle goes around like that. So when you do on your end, you do your coding, you want to send it over to the server, send as a string. When you get or call a request and you receive the data, parse it into an object. It's easier to code in your on your end. Okay. So let's see, this one here is just another example to show you. But okay, I'm gonna use the one example in the book in chapter 4. Is it 4 or 6? No, it can't be. Chapter 6. Okay, so here is the one in the book. This gumball, right? Here's the gumball. You just have a placeholder for the ID sales, and it's gonna call this function called gumball.js. The style sheet here, I also put it on the Blackboard. You can download this style sheet if you want to use it, or create your own, doesn't matter. And so this function here is this one here. Okay, it does the init, load, and it get sale, and then the get sale is down here. So the file we want to load is called sales.json. Okay, text file. And the sales is this one here. If you look at this file, it's in JSON format, as you can see. Has no name, but it comes in as a string of JSON. So everything here is code. Well, I guess the number we don't have to do. Huh? Maybe that's. I think that's can be converted implicitly. So that makes sense. Okay, so this is just a string of data. So in here, if you want to separate this out, you can see it a little bit better. It's just it's like a data. A list of related data, right? Has the name, and then the time, and then the sales, number of sales for that. Okay, so we're gonna look for this file. It's stored on the same server, in this case in the same folder under chapter 6. So that's what I'm gonna put it here. If I were to put this into a different place, if I have a directory called maybe data here, if I put that inside that data folder, then I have to make sure that this also go into the data.sales, right? So it links to that location here. And then here's the request. You create that function constructor. As you can see, this one here opens it first, right? It doesn't matter which order you put here. Opens it for the get request. I want to get the URL, which is this one here. Look for this file, and then notice this one here. It doesn't really even check for the done thing. It just assume that it is. Right? Like I showed you here, it didn't do this part here. It skips that. It just go right into the request status 200. So which is fine. You just ignore that. That's fine. So request status if it's 200. If it is, then send the data. Now the JSON data here is stored in this object. Got to pass it over to a function called update sales, and then update sales down here. We receive the data, which is this one here, not this one, JSON here. Okay, you process that here, and we have a target for the sales ID by ID. That's this tag here. We target that div tag, and then we have the actual text from here, the JSON text. We parse it, so now it becomes object instead of just text. Okay, if it's text, that means you can't do like, I cannot do sales dot name, right? You cannot do that. You can only do this if it's an object. So here, if I don't change it, what you see is just a string of text. But to actually access the key value pair, I have to convert this to object. That is why you have to parse it to an object type. Okay, so you can access the key value. If you don't, then it's just a long string. It looks like an object, but it's not. Okay, and then once you parse it, now I can look at the length of that object. In this case, will be about 9 names, so 0 through 8 for each of those, and then we read the object to the sale, the ith object, and then we get the name and then the sales, right? It's the dot name and the dot sales. I guess we don't care about the time in this one here, right? And then we'll loop through the entire list, and then we'll build the div, then we'll add that to the div. So you built the whole list. Okay, so if I save that and run it, see that it goes really fast, but it loads it here. We could do something like, where is that? Instead of load, I could do something like Mighty Gumball, put it here. Click, process. Or get data, something, right? Get data. And then you have a function here. Get data. And it sells. Yeah, so I'll put a function here. Maybe I won't call this. I'll take this out. Just put here. And this function will call that get sales. Okay, so it doesn't do automatically. So just basically stop the automation here. Let's see if that works. Okay, so here's the sale, and then you process data, and then it loads it. Okay, so it reads the file from the server because it's inside this data JSON. If you move that, there are two of them. Make sure that you call it the correct one. This one here is just get sales. This is get sale XHRV. It's a different different type. But anyways, well, this one here doesn't check it. This one does, right? It checks for a ready state of 4, and then it does a request. So I think that's the only difference.